All right, what's up, guys? So above average here, we're gonna do an updated Kashtira deck profile. So as we know, someone came off the semi-limited list. Our boy, 3 Unicorn. So I want to talk about this a little bit, right? So people say that, oh, Cash is back, or that they're hyping it up. Like I got flooded with messages saying how, like, our deck just became so much better. But look, the bricking problem, or like the consistency problem, wasn't that bad before. Like I was bricking on average like once out of every 8 hands, right? Or once out, yeah, well, 1 out of every 8 hands that I was going first, and I was drawing 5 cards, right? Going second, it's really the numbers change a lot, right? Because you're drawing a card for turn, you're playing through disruptions, like it's weird. But going first, yeah, I was like breaking 1 out of 8 hands. So now by playing 3 Unicorn, it kind of gets bumped up a little bit. So now instead of bricking 1 out of 8 hands, like drawing unplayable 1 out of every 8 hands, you're drawing unplayable 1 out of, let's say, 10 hands, right? Obviously, what's also really good is that, like, in the mid game and the late game, you have another Unicorn, so you have, like, you could top deck this, or you can get into it through your prosperity, etc. Having an extra one in the deck, gives you another name, so you get like special summon off your preparations. And obviously this is the best starter, right? Like starting off with Fenrir is not the greatest. Starting off with Unicorn is obviously the best. So that's good. You just the end board, everything's exactly the same. The deck is just more consistent, and I think the win rate will go up a little bit than before. But it's really nothing like absolutely crazy, right? That people think it is. As people think it is. What's actually not great for Kashtira is that Pankratops is back. More blowout going second cards like Snatch Steal, Triple Mind Control. Like this deck actually gets hurt by those cards, like a lot actually, right? Like they could Snatch Steal, take your XYZ, and like try to use that towards their advantage. Getting rid of your Fenrir and stuff, it could hurt a lot. So although this is good, I think there are more cards in the format now that could hurt us when they go second. So it's a little weird. Pankratops is also very good against our deck. If you don't have Planet up, they just easily deal with Fenrir and another card that you have, and Birth, let's say. So yeah, that's not great. But obviously we're still going to build the deck to combat all those things, and I still think this is one of the best decks in the format. For it's going to be for a long time, even after Bonfire gets released and all those cards. I still think this is going to be a top contender, and this profile is going to show you how to play the deck for now up until the next set is released, and Bonfire and Populous and all those cards come out. When those cards come out, I think the utility cards will change a little bit, but for now we're playing obviously 3 Unicorn. He's back at 3 Fenrir, and then people are saying to cut this down because we got Unicorn back. I don't understand the logic in that. I still think you want to see this card in your opening hand, especially because people are playing a lot of hand traps now. Having one of these and then like getting hand trapped, which you probably will, and then having this in your hand is like a blowout. Like you're kind of like sealing the deal if you have this in your hand. Also, playing multiples of these enables like rank 4 plays, which is pretty cool. And I definitely want to see this card in the late game, right? Like banishing a Theosis to add back a banished card is insane, or fueling your preparations. I think this is definitely still a 3 of. Don't cut this. Then the 1 Ogre, because again, preparations is insane, and the 1 Scareclaw that is kind of mandatory in this deck, and it's pretty good to out like a lot of problematic cards in the format. So then for hand traps, obviously, we're the best deck that plays Shifter, so play Shifter. 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, and the 1 Mourner that I always play. So just lowering your opponent's ceiling, and I want to like let you guys know that these cards always come out when you go first. You always side this out going first. You don't want to be setting cards past your you don't want to be setting cards that are like Imperm when you're going second, because if your opponent, because we know what we lose to, right? We know the blowout cards that we lose to. So by setting Imperm, you're further playing into that strategy. So I'll kind of, when I get to the side deck, I'll show you what to side out. But just note that these cards always come out when you're going first. post sighting. Okay, then we have spell cards, 3 planet, with the terraforming obviously, 3 birth, 3 theosis, 3 prosperity. There's no need to change any of these cards. These cards are consistency, help you push through hand traps, help you see more cards. Birth is one of the most cracked card in the whole entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! So please do not cut any of these. Now for utility cards, I am playing 2 Super Poly. You'll see with my extra deck, this card is just very good right now, right? The format, there's going to be a lot of different decks, and the best decks, and Centurion, and so many decks, Manadium, they all get hit by this. People always try to go SP and stuff like that. So I didn't want to overcommit and play 3 and risk it being a dead card. So I think 2 is perfect. Again, I don't want to see multiples really. And again, post-sighting, I don't want to keep this card in my deck and set it unless I have to, right? Unless the matchup really calls for it and I have nothing else to side in, I'll keep it in. But again, post-sighting, we don't really want to be setting these kinds of cards. But yeah, it could be just a total blowout card, right? It could help you break almost any board. Kashtiras have earths, they have waters, they have fires, they have so many different attributes, so you could use that towards your advantage. And I'll show you something spicy in the extra deck, but yeah, putting a monster in your board is actually fine. Like, picture your opponent having like Barone and SP Little Knight, right? Like, you special summoning Fenrir against their board most likely is not going to get you there anyway. So like, you could like, instead of trying to bait their cards and then try to play, you could just like special summon Fenrir, use Super Poly, blow their whole board. Now what's really cool again with Prosperity, you kind of like, if they don't know that you're playing Super Poly, you could Prosperity and like, obviously you're going to use 6. And then if you hit this, it could be game over, right? So like, them not using Ashram and Prosperity could really backfire, because obviously you just go turn player priority, activate Super Poly, and then you just, you wipe their board. So that's really cool with this. And then games 2 and 3, they know you're playing Super Poly, so you could even side it out, and then they're going to be really scared of your Prosperity. So I think this card is just phenomenal right now. But again, I wouldn't overcommit and play 3. I think 2 is just the sweet spot. It's the best number to play. And then for the other 2 utility cards is 2 Cosmic Cyclone. I wanted a card that was just very solid going first against everything, right? So I actually cannot think of a matchup that I don't want this card in going first. I want it against everything, right? And it's really good going just blind, right, in your deck when you're going blind against a deck, right? You having this card, you feel safe almost, right? And then post-sighting, you'll see if you want to take it out or keep it in, and like, you really shape your deck to go second against a certain deck or go first against a certain deck. But this card could be phenomenal going first against a lot of decks, right? And against Manadium even, you could hit a field spell. So I like how flexible this card is. And I see there's like a pattern. Like, I watch a lot of old deck profiles, and like, there's a Dragon Link that got first. I think I forgot his name, but Shu Ping, he got first place with like in the UDS, I think. And he played 3 Cosmic Cyclone, like, or like, I've seen another deck profile where they just main 3 Cosmic and an open format, and it was like the best card in their deck, right? And I feel like this card has been just so amazing for me. And the rise of Centurion, the rise of Runix, the rise of all those decks, this card could just be a blowout. Not really a blowout, but just lowering their ceiling enough so your cash cards can just resolve and like go crazy. So I think these utility cards are just very flexible and very like, can be very high impact. And then the last spell is the Call by the Grave. So this is a hand trap format. Everyone's gonna be playing a lot of hand traps, so this could potentially stop a hand trap, but I just like it going first against Labyrinth, which I think is gonna be everywhere. It's pretty good against Manadium going first. Just, you feel it's a card that you always want in your deck going first. I feel just if the hand trap hurts you, you can Call by the Grave it. If it doesn't, you could set this as like a crazy disruption that they don't see coming. So yeah, this is a very flexible, very good card in the main deck for going first and second, right? So all these cards are good going first and second. And then the last card is the Preparations, which you never cut this card. Even post-sighting, I keep this in going second. I always find myself going into the grind game, and this card could be a blowout in the grind game too. So that's it for the main deck. Let's go into the extra deck real quick. One Shang, I cut it to 1, and ever since I cut it to 1, the second again never came up. So I'm very happy I put it to 1. And you never want to go double Shang pass because you play into Typhon. So if you go double Shang pass, they could just go normal summon a monster, go Typhon, and then bounce one, and that ruins the lock that you're trying to make, right? So you never really want to. And again, you're going to lose to the same thing that you would have lost to in the first place, right? If they're going to Zeus you, they're going to Zeus you. If they're going to evenly you, they're going to evenly you. It doesn't matter if you made 1 or 2. So I think making 2 is even worse. And you play into Nibiru harder, right? So I think 1 is perfect. You only make it really going first. Other than that, whenever you go second, whenever you go into the grind game, you never really summon this card past turn 0 when you're going first. Then the Dark Armed, it should be Kashtira Dark Armed. This card is phenomenal. The Flare Metal, you make this obviously when it's close to time, but I think just against certain decks, like combo decks, crazy combo decks, or like Flunderies, you could just make this, because nothing else is really good against them. You could just make this, and then they have to burn like crazy amount of life to just play the game. So I thought that was really cool. Yeah, this is just a good card. This to outskill drain, as well as you can go into Zeus with it, and there's certain boards that you kind of want to like end on to stall for like a turn if you kind of like hand trap to death. Again, look, now that tier is kind of gone, personally, I still think some people are going to play it, but it's just good like graveyard control card. It's just a good graveyard control card. Big Eye, amazing for going like using your cash cards to bait effects, then going into Big Eye, bait another effect, and then like going SP, and banishing another card, and then like slapping Typhon on top. You can play through like a huge board with like just Fenrir, it seems like, right? So this card enables you to go second. Now, this package I got off of some other cash player. I forgot his name, but I think he won the Indiana regional, Indy regional. And although I don't play a level 4 in my deck, and I don't think that's a good idea. I do play these 2 cards because I'll show you with the side deck. You can make Dweller, right? And then there's another card that's now that we cut the Odd Eyes package, we have room, right? And against Fire Kings, which you will play against Fire Kings, like I promise you, you can go Dweller, and that's really, really good. And then we have the Zeus and the Typhon, which you definitely need to play these cards. If you don't have Typhon, I recommend selling all these cards and picking up Typhon. Then we have the SP and the Baron. I want to note now that with Unicorn, you go into Baron like a lot, right? Like especially if you open a hand trap, you use Unicorn. If they hand trap you with like, I don't know, something random, and you see you have no way to extend, normal summoning an Ash or Mourner or whatever going into Baron is really powerful. Now for the targets for Super Poly, 1 Guilty, 1 Garura, and 1 King of the Swamp. So King of the Swamp, or no, what's it called? Mudragon of the Swamp. This card could also help you go into Dweller, by the way. Summoning this, calling Fire right off the get is really powerful, especially against Fire Kings. They can't target their own cards with like Circle or like the other spell that they have. So I thought that was really strong. These 2 come up against like almost every single deck. And then this against the combo decks, the Manadiums, all the weird decks that go like Baron SP and stuff like that. If this gets summoned, you pretty much win. And I want to note that like I said, sometimes you're going to have to Super Poly just right off the bat, right? And you're going to lock your zones, but you using that Super Poly to like clear 2 negates and then like potentially punching over another card can help you go like +3 to maybe even +4 and then start playing the game, right? Sometimes you're going to have to crash to kill it and then play the game, but that's fine. You know, you cleared 2 negates. So I think these cards have been insane for me, and I could definitely continue on playing them. So the Odd Eyes package, because obviously I took it out for like these cards and stuff. The Odd Eyes package comes up like once out of every, let's say, 7 to 8 games, and sure, you might get a win there, but Super Poly is going to help you win a lot more games than that. Okay, now onto the side deck, which I think is probably the most important part of the Kashtira deck. And if you don't side properly, it definitely contributes to a lot of your losses. So Lava Golem, I found, is the best going second card board breaker that you could possibly play, especially in Kashtira. Just tributing over the Centurion cards or the Vanadium cards or just big boards could really help you get there. The fact that it's a fire could be like a super poly target once you put it on their board. And I just think it's very flexible. I like how you could prosperity into this, so that's cool. Like, well, again, it's like the super poly effect, right? It's like the hidden super poly effect, where if you prosperity and you hit lava golem, they have to do something right then and there. If they don't, you just lava golem them, right? So I think this is absolutely mandatory in Kashtira. Then another card that I think is definitely mandatory in Kashtira now is Bell. So there's going to be a lot of Labyrinth, and it's not your favorable matchup, right? You don't really have an easy time against Labyrinth, and this is one of the cards that could like basically help you play more ashes, right? It's like you're playing 6 ashes in your deck, and against Labyrinth, you're gonna need you're definitely gonna need these cards. Drawing them for turn, they're even good, right, against that deck. They also like cross into other matchups, right? If you need more hand traps against, like, I don't know, Fire Kings or like Vanadium, even Orchist, right? Like, now that we're gonna see the rise of Orchist, this card could be really good. Really good against Despia, even drawing it for turn, it could be great. And it's also another level 3 tuner, right? So the play that I said before with Baron could happen more often now with you playing 3 more level 3 tuners in your deck. So keep in mind, like I said, hand traps are better in this deck than like other cards because they don't lose to what you already lose to. So instead of trying to push forward and like try to like, how could I explain? For you not to lose to what you already lose to, you have to play around that, right? So that's like playing hand traps or playing cards to combat what you lose to. You don't really want to be putting in like Book of Moons and stuff like that post-sighting, because you're still going to lose to the Lightning Storm. You're still going to lose to the Evenly. So yeah, playing a hand trap that's just phenomenal in the format is the best card, and definitely deserves the 3 of slot in your side deck. Then I play 3 Spooky. I just want to be more prepared than my opponent when it comes to the time rules. So that's why I play that. But these are the cards that you could change. You could cut these and play something else if you don't have an issue with time. But in my opinion, if you're playing a big event, definitely play these cards. Maybe not for locals, but definitely for like a YCS, you should play this card. Now the last monster is the Raid Raptor. So this is what lets you go into the whole Raid Raptor play to end on Dweller. So I like how this helps you go into Dweller, as well as it being another card for time, right? So once it gets close to the wire, you know, like 3 minutes left, 2 minutes left, and you're going first, you can go into this, burn them, and then like you're good, right? And you could try to like pass on that if you need to deal damage. But yep, it's just another level 4 to help you go into Dweller. Again, you could kind of cut this, but then like I don't know what I would put into the extra deck. But Dwell is really good now against Fire Kings, and I know I'm gonna see that deck, whether it's locals, regionals, or YCS. Now the most important part of the deck is these last cards, and I think if you're a cash player, these cards as well as Bell, I think these cards are absolutely mandatory that I'm gonna show you right now. The rest could change, but these cards always go in regardless of the deck that you're dueling against. So that's 3 Judgment, the 1 Scolding, and the double Anti-Spell Fragrance. So now let me talk about this a little bit, because I find it very important, and I think contributes a lot to my wins and my success with this deck. So remember what I said that we lose to, right? Every other game, like your end board, even though it looks whack, it's good. Like, it's actually very powerful, especially if you're sitting on a hand trap or another utility card. It's very powerful game 1. If you lose a game, right, and you put these cards in, you're covering all the blowout spell cards. You're covering evenly matched. You're cross countering like even their deck if they don't open up those blowouts, right? If they have Lightning Storm, they're gonna Lightning Storm. If they don't have Lightning Storm, then Judgment can just stop their normal summon, and that could be game, right? And then Anti-Spell at 2, it's basically another way to stop the blowout spell cards, but you don't really, personally, I don't want to play 3. You could play 3, But I don't want to be stuck with like an anti-spell or like multiple anti-spells and like one way to play the game, and then I get like hand trapped to death and I pass, right? And then I'm in the top decking mode. So this card could backfire, and that's the reason why I put it to 2. I think 2 is the sweet spot, and like by playing 2, you're not gonna fall under your own anti-spell as much as if you were to play 3, because if you see multiples, then that means you're playing with 1 less card, 2 less cards actually in your hand. So if you don't combo and you see this card, it's not good. You want to combo and see this card. So I think 2 is perfect, and you could hit it off prosperity, right? So I think 2 is absolutely like perfect. And then the one scolding, I actually thought about this like recently, and I wish I thought about it sooner. It's literally an even better Solemn Judgment, and it will always be the only set card you control. After, like I said, post-siding, you're taking out imperms, you're taking out the super polys if you have to, you're taking out, maybe you're keeping in Call by the Grave, but if you have Call by the Grave, you obviously don't set this, you'd rather set this, right? It's literally a Solemn Judgment, but better. It has all the effects that this has, plus another effect. So, yeah, this is, once you pass over to them, you're going to flip your anti-spells, you're going to flip your preparations, and then even if you have these 2 set, you're going to use Judgment first, and then lastly, you're going to use your Scolding. So this being 4 Solemn Judgments is absolutely cracked. It increases the percentage of you seeing a Solemn Judgment like by a good amount. And just a little tip, when you're playing against Labyrinth, you always side 3 of these in, going second even. So sometimes the imperms are very like, it's weird. Even you imperming them doesn't really get you there. And I found that having a card like Judgment set, even going second, could be very powerful against them, right? We've seen it in the past where trap decks like Eldritch or something, they going second into a full entire board, they'll set 5 pass, right? And then you still need to kill them, right, through their set 5, and then they just start flipping traps on you, and then you can't OTK them, right? So Judgment can be the card that could literally get you there. So I think that's pretty cool. And that's pretty much it, guys. I think after showing you this, you should be pretty confident going into locals, going into regionals. I think these cards should, and like the siding pattern with these cards is like definitely what makes my list, and I think Kashtira insane. Because keeping these cards allow you to like keep up your Fenrir, right? Like all these cards, and like these cards being probably the best cards in my opinion in the format, going second, just to combat everything, and they don't lose to like anti-spell or anything, right? So let me know what you guys think. I want to see other deck profiles. I've been trying to see on YouTube if people are posting like updated deck profiles. If you guys have any ideas, let me know. And